Welcome back to Fight Week Focus here in Abu Dhabi. My name is John Gooden, alongside the Iron Lung, Paul Felder. Getting into Fight Week now, Paul. We've had a few things. We've had the open workouts, the face-offs as well. Did you catch Peter Yan at the open workouts?
I did. That was very interesting. Little play at Aljamain Sterling. And, we've had the fighter meetings this week as well. And he doesn't even seem to have an interest in that. So it's interesting that he would go and kind of poke and make fun of him. But I think that's ultimately, if Jan wins, that's the fight that's got to happen to unify the belt. But just having good fun out there and,
he is
sparking a fire.
That's the thing. I'm not sure if it's always comes across because he can't communicate so well with English at the moment. But he's a really fun character, isn't he? He likes to joke around a little bit.
Well, if the meetings were any indication of that, He's a wild man, for sure.
Yes,
crazy,
he is.
as his manager called him.
Yeah,
so.
And we actually spoke about the knee, and he, it was something he was looking for the hands. Is that what he said?
He was focused so much on the hands that he didn't even really take time to notice that both of his knees are pretty much down, or at least one of his knees were completely down when it happened. And I agree with that. I don't think he's the type of fighter that is purposely. You don't want to
too much on the line.
You're going to potentially lose the belt. Exactly. There's a lot of consequences for purposefully kneeing a downed opponent. Doesn't seem like something that would happen, but you can see both hands up. That could be confusing. So I understand the misconception there.
But it's been good to catch up with some of the fighters, which we'll go into in a little bit. But we also saw the face-off between the guys in the main event, Jan Blachowicz and Glover Teixeira, two guys that have had such storied careers already with the UFC, of course, with Glover Teixeira. And I got to sit down with him earlier. Here's what he had to say. Glover, thanks very much for stopping by. How's Fight Week in Abu Dhabi treating you?
Hey, it's great, man. I love it. I love the Fight Week, man. I love it because it's I don't know, because it's the last stretch of the camp. I know it's a weight cut, but I'm pretty good with my weight lately, so I'm enjoying.
You've been watching Fight Island from afar, like last couple of years, and it's obviously a very big thing. I think some fighters were really upset they'd never got to come here, but now you're here. What's it like? Has it been what you thought it might be over here in Abu Dhabi?
I thought it was gonna be in the island, really, it kind of is, but it's cool, man. We don't get out too much at the hotel. I don't do that too much before my fights anyway. But I'm looking forward to see the city a little bit after the fight.
Yeah,
but, I'm enjoying it.
You've done this before, but a long time ago, right? When you fought John Jones. How different does the whole thing feel? Not just you as an athlete, but the whole situation in mixed martial arts and the UFC, because it feels like almost a little bit of a different time.
Oh, big difference, big difference. The whole, I've been around for so long. I know everybody so well. Now I feel so comfortable around all you guys, You call my fight a bunch of times, and all the reporters. It's like it's like a family now. It's like it's UFC family. It's like that we get together, we see each other, and we just talk about the Brazilian reporter Evie. She's like how many times we've been working together. It's like it's a long time, man, and it's different. It's definitely different. Definitely better.
Yeah,
I
like
feel
that.
Better.
Well, in terms of your skills, then, as someone who's commentated a lot of fights, and I've been in the practice room a little bit, the game has changed. We see little techniques, the calf kick, for example, everyone's using it. There are little fashions, but your game is clearly standing the test of time. But I don't see that you've made dramatic changes. You kind of had it right from the beginning. But for the uneducated, what is it about your game that has kept you being successful over all of these years?
Gotta improve the game, right? I improve my game. It's like, of course, I learn new things, but most of all is like I gotta get better what I am good at.
Right.
So my wrestling, my jiu-jitsu, I really believe that I have the best jiu-jitsu in MMA. One of the best jiu-jitsu in MMA. I'm not talking about wrestling. Khabib is out
right.
there, but on the ground. because I just see the submissions, man. I just set up my submissions with punch, and end up getting so. And I start developed things like that. Even Minotauro yesterday was like, "Oh, Glover, that's like a new thing there. How you do this, how you do that." So,
That's cool.
uh, yeah, I improve my game better, and because of the, of course, I improved the boxing too. I got my boxing coach who work with me all the time. This whole year we're working focus on Jan, and we see, man. But because they so like they worry about it. I know anybody that fight with me, they worry about it going on the ground because
Yeah.
they know it's gonna be a nightmare, and that's when my hands get in place,
It feels like it can't just be about the title to keep you going. It feels like there's something more that's driving you to keep doing that. Am I correct? And what else is it apart from UFC Gold that's keeping you training and doing everything you need to do?
The whole thing, man. Is the title, of course. Being a champion is gonna be the reward of a hard work, hard career. Like ups and downs, and that belt is gonna make the difference. But besides that, it's just like I say, being around here and be top fighter and have the respect, and do this job. That's what I want when I was a kid. I used to go home and watch TV and watch all these professional athletes there, like the soccer players, most of it. And I say one day I want to be a professional. I didn't know what I was gonna do because in my city have nothing to and still doesn't nothing. We've been working. I've been working something. And I will work on something to put there eventually
Right.
for the kids.
Very cool.
But it still doesn't have nothing like the kids over there is like have no, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. I love I used to do sprints because it's no need to coach for that, right? I
Yeah.
think it does, right? You
Yeah.
see
Do it
Usain
by
Bolt.
yourself.
But yeah, I didn't know what it was, but I have something inside of me and telling it's like I want to be a professional athlete. I want to be talking in an interview and do all this stuff. So I'm doing here, and that's what motivates me. I love this. I really do. I love this. I love the training. I love everything about it, man. Everything about it.
So listening to that story, you're hearing yourself talk about that childhood. You're so close now. You're so close to UFC Gold. It's all kind of worked to this point. So how excited are you for the weekend to come about so that you can put everything together, your heart, your motivation and your skills?
Yeah, I'm so close. What I need to do is like what I've been doing is enjoy the moment, enjoy the present moment. I've been working a lot in there because I think with John Jones was like, you know, after waiting 3.5 years in Brazil to get in UFC, and all there, kind of like I was like, it's so people start saying it's so close and everything, and I got anxiety, like anxious, like, oh, I can't believe I'm gonna be, if I be a champion, what I'm doing, if I do this, if I be a champion, what's gonna happen after me, champion. So I'm trying to not think too much about that. I'm just trying to think the right now, the process, and focus the what I have to do now, because I have a big fight ahead on Saturday, and I'm trying to not think too much of the belt, just knowing that Jan is over there, and I have to beat this guy. But it's hard,
Yeah.
But I'm trying to avoid think of the belt so I don't, doesn't bother me. So
Yeah.
I think that's what I've been doing the last couple fights, last few fights, and it's been working.
It certainly has been working. Okay, so Jan Blachowicz, what do you need to do to beat this guy?
I need to get in his face, I need to push him like to the deep water, like I always do with the guys. I wanted to, I respect him. I respect him. No, as a person, of course. I'm talking about as a fighter. I respect his power. Respect his jiu-jitsu. I know he got some submission. He's strong. You know, I see some of the submission that he have. He's not as a specialist in jiu-jitsu. I can tell, like, I can criticize him and say that's not very technical, but he tap guys because of the power, the strength that he have. So he must be very strong. So gotta respect that and be patient and knowing that the later rounds is my rounds and thinking that it's gonna be a tough fight, hard fight, and prepare for that. And that's what I need to do to beat him.
Sounds like you're predicting a war with this guy.
Yes, always predict a war, man. You always gotta pray. She's doesn't like it too much, you know. But you gotta always, you know, prepare for the worst and prepare for the big war, 5-round war, and whatever comes before that, it's better, right? If it's not a war and I still winning, hey. It's better. So I'm always prepared and I'm always looking forward for, you know, blood and, you know, and a brawl.
Great stuff. Listen, I know you've got other things to do today, but thank you very much for stopping by. This is going to be a great fight, and I wish you all the very best.
Hey, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, Paul, I don't think there's many nicer guys in the sport. Well, both of them, and we've seen as evidenced by the time that I spent with them this week. But Glover Teixeira, another guy that you can't help but pull for.
Yeah, he's such a sweetheart and a savage inside of the octagon. And I just love the way he's not overthinking this, right? He spent a lot of time when he first fought for the belt thinking about the belt itself, the belt, and you can become obsessed with that, you know, getting this prize when really you should be focused on the opponent on the other side of the cage and what you have to do to beat them, because that's how you get the belt. So you can see the maturity in him already, that he's already just more focused on Jan. He wants to go out there, beat that guy. He happens to have the belt, and he'll just go from there. I love that he's got this kind of carefree attitude this week, really just enjoying fight week, taking in this, interviewing with you. He's just enjoying all of it. Everybody around him, he's taking it as a big support system and just loving the UFC. He even talked about, you know, the camera people and the people that put the cage together. He sees every single person and realizes that this is kind of a big family that he's been a part of for a long time. And he knows he's nearing, you know, he's definitely nearing the twilight to the end of his career. So he's taking it all in. So.
Always nice to know that a guy like Glover Teixeira calls you family. So I feel like I can call him if I've ever got a problem.
Yeah,
he's the kind of guy you want to call on, right?
Give him a shout. Somebody messes with you, picks on you. Maybe somebody tweets you something a little nasty, which we know we can get from time to
happens.
time. Glover's got your back.
Yeah, exactly that. And it's his birthday.
I know. Happy birthday, Glover.
You know that it's so in his world and for his fans, if he gets that belt, it's his birthday, the belt, and with the story that he's had
birthday
as
week
well,
to get the belt,
Isn't
that would be
something?
pretty fantastic. Yeah.
All right. Well, Paul, we put out a request for fan questions across the card. We have one for the main event. So this one is from Gary Donald. Donald, thank you very much for your question. Are we overlooking the ground game of Jan Blachowicz in this matchup? Glover speaks about this, doesn't he? I think everyone say striker versus grappler, but it's not as straightforward as that.
No, it's nowhere near as straightforward as that. At this level, when you're talking about a 205, the light heavyweight belt is on the line. Both these guys can grapple. They both got jiu-jitsu. Jan was a competitive jiu-jitsu guy as well at a point in his career. These guys can do it all, but I think there's just a difference in their games there, right? Obviously, I do think that the edge would go to Glover Teixeira in the just pure, you know, jiu-jitsu department.
Yeah.
But if Jan can get on top of you and that legendary Polish power starts hammering down with hammer fists and big punches, that's also grappling in MMA. It's not just about who's got the better arm bar, but if we're talking taking your back, putting a squeeze on you, I'm going to say that's probably going to be a little bit on the side for Glover Teixeira.
He told us in the fighter meetings as well that he believes he's got the best MMA. I'm not sure if he said grappling or jiu-jitsu,
right.
But either way, that's a big claim.
Yeah.
When you think of that, when you think about jiu-jitsu guys in MMA, do your thoughts immediately turn to Glover Teixeira?
I mean, not necessarily, but I would say he's one of those guys for sure. I mean, I'd say there's quite a few guys that transition well because you got to be able to wrestle, which we've seen Glover kind of improve even more and more over the years. Because when we sat down with him as well for the meetings, he talked about how early on in his career, he was a boxer and a jiu-jitsu fighter.
Yeah.
He's like, but I started to realize, what is the point of that? What's the point of having sick jiu-jitsu if I can't get my opponent to the ground? It's such a key element. And I think that's where, him becoming one of the better MMA jiu-jitsu guys or MMA grapplers, it makes sense because he can strike, he can transition into those spots, he can take you down, and then when he's there, he's fantastic at controlling you. He does throw ground and pound, right? That's what's part of being good at MMA jiu-jitsu, is how do you open up these moments that you can attack your person with submissions, and it's through ground and pound, it's through control on the ground, and that's where he excels.
And I think one of his problems with trying to be the best MMA jiu-jitsu guys, he's so heavy-handed.
Yeah,
that
he knocks people down or knocks them out
exactly.
First. But that helps you, right? If you can't take them down with wrestling, knock them down.
Yeah. All right, well, another fight on this card, which I think got probably the most column inches in the last couple of weeks leading into UFC 267, is the matchup between Islam Makhachev and Dan Hooker. Incredible story from Dan Hooker about how he came to take this fight. I got to sit down with him earlier. Here's what he had to say. So, Dan, how good is it to be back here in the Middle East?
I like the weather. That's one thing. But no, it is good. It's only a short trip this time in comparison to coming over for, I think it was 5 weeks.
Was it 5 weeks?
More than 5 weeks. Yeah. 5.5? Yeah, over 5.5 weeks here.
It's like becoming a local. You get your own postcode and all sorts of things after 4 weeks, I think.
Yeah, sure do. But now I'm a Nevadian. I'm a Las Vegas local, so I'm a man of the world this year.
So I hear. Listen, take yourself back. Like, I remember our first interactions were when you were a featherweight. I remember coming down under and seeing you compete. Did you ever, at that point, be thinking that you would be relocated potentially and all of this craziness that's going on? Did you think you would be a man of the world?
That's a good question. Well, obviously, like, never anticipated the pandemic or anything like this, but something like with my careers, something I've always done is travel and train. So for me to go back to that is not that difficult. It's because I have trained in Vietnam, I trained in Thailand, trained in the States. Like, I have moved around so much throughout my career that I can kind of fall back. It's like everything. Everyone asks, where do you get your confidence from? It's like, I can fall back on experience. I've done this. Yeah. I've done this before. I've traveled and trained so many different places throughout the world that I know, how to approach a new environment. So I can again fall back on experience.
What is it about your character that's allowing you to approach this situation, which, if I was to put myself in your shoes, sounds pretty stressful, moving family around, competing in the toughest sport, but from listening to you and kind of looking you in the eye as well, genuinely, you seem to be approaching it with a calm and an acceptance of the situation that I would find very difficult.
Yeah, it's just it's something you learn, like just getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. That's something that I've always done, like ever since I was younger and started traveling and training in Thailand and that like that. Once you stay in Thailand for a bit, it's uncomfortable. Like everything's foreign, everything's new, and just to find comfort there is find comfort within yourself is something that's like quite unique, I guess. And you can fall back on that. Like throughout my career, I've done my best work like being in uncomfortable situations. I don't know what it is. It just brings out just kind of brings out the best of me. Just being the deck stacked against you, being considered like the underdog, things put like throughout training potentially not going your way. I don't know what it is.
I guess
it just
seeking these opportunities
makes me feel quite calm in chaos.
Yeah, well, it definitely works for your line of work as well. I know that you've told this a bunch, but I just wanted to ask you what those moments were like when you had kind of stepped down from that celebratory moment with your team, and then you turn around and you take a phone call from the UFC matchmaker, and he's offering you a very tough fight in another part of the world. How does that decision-making process work for Dan Hooker?
Funny thing about it really wasn't that. It really wasn't that big of a process. They obviously like gave me like straight after my fight. I think Sean Shelby was like waiting out back, and he's just like, he gave me the heads up straight after the fight. He's just like, RDA's out. Like, Makhachev is looking for an opponent, and I was more in the position where I was like, shame, like unlucky, like because I tried to fight him for that on that spot after his last win. I put my hand up for the position, and then he picked RDA instead of me, and then so for him to like come back and backtrack, I was just like, of course I'm going to take the fight, but I was like,
you're playing hard to get.
Yeah, playing hard to get. Like, shame. Like, you should have picked me in the first place. You know what I mean? But nah. Once he got in touch with me, like a couple of days later, you could just sense that something that they really wanted you to step up for this opportunity, and they couldn't get anyone else to take the spot. And I knew I was going to take it. Like, I was in no rush. Like, I knew I was going to take it. But yeah, like once he called me up, it was a couple of sentences like, oh damn, we could, we really want you to step up to the spot, like, and I was just like, yeah, cool. And then everything else came after that. Like, everyone thought it was like some big negotiation, like, well, if you give me this and this and this.
That Jerry Maguire moment, isn't it?
It was. Yeah, like it was more the other way around. It's more like I said yes, and then they were like, "Oh, and we'll fly your family out, and we'll get you somewhere to stay, and we'll take care." Like that all came second. Like, right. I'd already accepted the fight at that point.
I would imagine though, to prepare for someone, I wouldn't say necessarily a specialist, but someone who's got a very grapple heavy game, and it is a unique style, I think, than to some of maybe the American wrestling that has been more familiar in the UFC, that it would be a gnarly fight camp that people would be looking at in order to prepare. Did that come into your mind at all? Like, I really should be spending a long time trying to figure out that style of wrestling and how it applies to mixed martial arts?
Nah, that was like a...
I love this.
That didn't even go, I wish there was like a lot more thought that went into this, but like it was, I took the fight and then everything kind of fell into place. Like the camp definitely went just above and beyond anything I expected. Having a wrestling coach, Frank Hickman, here, and then him pulling guys out, have had some great like NCAA guys, like Division I guys that like, I don't even know what that means, you know what I mean? So it's like some wrestling good, like having like,
you check out their ears.
Having, like, yeah. I'm like, oh, this is pretty good cauliflower ears. Like, oh yep, no, he knows what he's doing.
Right.
Like, having guys like that just chuck me around was good. So I went like head and shoulders above anything I expected when I took the fight. But it's just, my entire game is kind of built around stopping takedowns. So then then it's like, so it's funny to me when people are like, oh, it's a bad stylistic matchup for you. And I'm just thinking, in my head, like my whole game is like designed around stopping someone trying to take me down.
Right.
So I don't understand how a wrestler is a bad stylistic matchup for me.
Gotcha.
Just people are saying it's like a bad stylistic matchup because I've had a lot of exciting fights throughout my career and fought like a lot of exciting guys. Like I didn't pick those fights. Like the UFC matchmakers matched those fights because they saw me and they were like, oh, he's exciting. Well, this guy's exciting. Let's put him with Yair Rodriguez. Let's put him with Hatsuyoki. Let's put him with Ross Pearson. Like I didn't turn down any grapplers.
They just weren't presented.
Yeah, they just didn't. We just never crossed paths. But that challenge is definitely intriguing to me.
So just before I let you go, why is this a really great canvas for you to show your mixed martial arts to the world?
Because, like, he is. I don't know. I can explain why it's such an intriguing matchup to me. Like, and
go for that.
That's why it's so intriguing to everyone else, and it's because he is such a specialist and so highly touted, and it's a great opportunity to be the first, right? You're like really, it's like a great opportunity to be the first guy to have answers to the question of that style of fighter, because we haven't seen it with Makhachev. Like, he's lost, he's been knocked out, but anyone can be knocked out. He got clipped. You know what I mean? That can happen to anyone. That wasn't that guy that beat him stifled his game. Like, he just caught him. That could have happened to Khabib, but it never happened. But same thing, like, it never happened to Khabib. No one ever was able to stop that approach or that style. So that's the most intriguing thing to me, is being the first guy to stifle that Kazakhstani style of fighting, and to have some kind of answers and be able to shut that down and just really have the answers. And it's like anything, like, no one's going to get the opportunity to answer those questions with Khabib. The next best thing is to do it with Islam Makhachev.
Would it be enough to clip and take home a win against Makhachev?
It's like, knockouts are something that just happen. Like, people are saying that, like, oh, you just knee him in the head. Like, yeah, it's whenever you try to force a knockout, they just don't happen. It's not the way that knockouts happen. It's not the way that, like, a quick submission happens. Like, that's just, he makes a mistake and you catch him out, like, right place, wrong time. You know.
Yeah.
You can't approach a fight being like, oh, I'm going to just knock him out with a knee, because then I'm heavy on my feet, then I'm waiting, then the timing's off, then you miss that opportunity.
Yeah.
I have to go out there and fight to win over that period. Fight to beat him. Fight to beat him, and if a knockout happens, it happens. Fight to beat him, and if a submission happens, it happens. But like, my intention is to go out there and prove I'm the better fighter. Right. My intention is not to go out there and to knock him out with a knee or something like that.
You mentioned, however, like, that loss that he's had was like just a momentary lapse maybe, and but it sounds like you don't want to be spoken of in the same way. Like, if you take the victory away from Makhachev, you want it to have been like a real earned, like, with evidence of your work, rather than someone saying, yeah, well, he just got clipped again. Even though
100%, that's not because people will say this or people will hold this opinion of me. I want to do that for me.
Sure.
Like, I want to do that. I want to prove where my grappling lies in the division, or where my grappling lies in the world. They consider him the best. That gets me excited. That motivates me like nothing else to go out there and prove. Hold on a second. You say you're the best, I'm going to have to disagree.
Love it. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it's a great styles matchup. Two great guys as well, going toe-to-toe. So enjoy fight week. I'll probably catch up with you before we get to the fights, but thank you for sitting down with us.
Pleasure.
Cheers, dude. I always enjoy speaking with Dan Hooker. I think he speaks very well about the mixed martial arts game overall. I know that he became an ally after being a foe.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I mean,
you guys are all right now.
I have no problems with that. I mean, even back then, we left it all in that octagon.
Oh,
that
you guys did.
So,
yes, you did.
I have no problems. I can't say I'm rooting for him, right? Because obviously I've got to stay even down the middle. But
yes.
I like to see him excel. I like to see him get opportunities like this. Anybody that I've fought, I want to see them go on and do good things.
Of course. So the way that this came together, Dan Hooker wasn't the first pick for this matchup with Makhachev. RDA couldn't make the appointment, so he steps in. It sounds like he knew a little bit more about this than what the media were putting out there, but even so, it's still a cool story given the situation going on in New Zealand.
Yeah, he wants... Man, it's such
Which is wild.
So crazy, right? I mean, you got to enter a lottery to even get a place to go in quarantine, to even get back.
Go home.
To go home to your family. Yeah. So if you're going to be in this situation, though, and you're Dan Hooker, you think, well, I might as well make the best of this. And somehow that means fighting Islam Makhachev, which is a dangerous proposition. But I'm sure Dan's getting compensated. He was on the flight over here. He was sitting in a nice business class seat. I probably shouldn't be talking about that, but he looked comfy. Looks like he worked out something in those contracts.
That's nice.
And I just think it's interesting, that he talks about that a knockout is not necessarily what he wants to do, that anybody can go in there and knock people out, right?
Yes.
I think this is when we start getting creative with us talking about a fight, right? And it's almost poetic to be like, I really want to drag him into those deep waters. I can tell you as a fighter, never in my life have I thought, I really want to teach this guy a lesson and really drag him for a full, bloody, hard 15 minutes. Now, that happens. It happens. You got to be ready for that. You got to be prepared. But we all know if you want to go out there, if I'm Dan Hooker, I want to throw that right knee up the middle, clip him right on the chin, and see you later. Give me my check. I'm back to Vegas.
Do you not see any value in his words around like the Adriano Martins' victory over Makhachev? He's dismissed it. He doesn't want anyone else to dismiss his effort. I guess because he's looking for that big opportunity next. And I'll come on to you about that, because there is obviously a big prize at the end of this fight. So can you not see that there's any truth in him not only showing that he can grapple, but also having no doubt whatsoever in anyone's mind that he beat Islam Makhachev?
Of course, but again, it
sounds
great, right? But you're gonna take that knockout, and you're certainly not going to
pull your
dismiss
punches.
your victory because you went and iced this surging Khabib number 2. You know, you would never do that. Now, if he does go and win a 15-minute decision after out-grappling and outclassing somebody like Islam, then I do agree that is a much bigger feather in the cap for Dan Hooker, right? And I think that's what he's getting at. But still, at the end of the day, if that dude goes out there, pop left hook, and the fight is over, he's going to be smiling.
He certainly will be. All right, well, again, you guys gave some questions over the interweb to us. Let's check out what we have for Paul. This one is from Soderling 1891. Probably butchered that handle, if I'm honest.
Birth year, yeah?
Yeah, well...
Older person on Twitter.
Much, 1891. They're doing well. How much hype can Li Jingliang steal from Khamzat with a win on Saturday?
All of it. You go out and hand him his first loss, and you get a finish or something? Li goes and is a superstar. The Leech is an overnight sensation. Now, he's already a megastar, I'm sure, in China.
He is, yeah.
But for him to come to Abu Dhabi to face Khamzat Chimaev and go and get a finish and right up here, overnight. Huge.
What a fight that is shaping up to be. We actually saw Khamzat Chimaev again after my conversation with him. Then we saw him in the fighter meetings. Oh, boy,
he wants to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
He really does.
His corner team say that they really have to hold him back for this one.
Especially after everything that he's kind of gone through, right? He had that really bad COVID-19 scare where he hadn't recovered properly. He tried to go back into training. He really messed himself up. He gave himself really bad bronchitis or
yes,
something,
that's right?
Where
yeah.
he was really struggling to
He
breathe. He didn't even want to fight anymore, potentially. So you can imagine after you've gone through that, then you start feeling healthy again. You're back in the gym. You're chomping at the bit to really go back out there and perform. But he's facing a dangerous puncher and kicker, so he's really got to settle in. I think he's smart enough to know that, but that's what his coaches are there for, to be like, all right, listen, don't go out there and go crazy and just get caught with something stupid because you're so excited to be back in the cage. Take your time. You'll find your moments.
And the good thing is that Andreas, Michael,
great.
Alexander Gustafsson, so many UFC fights have gone before, so he's in very good hands. But it's going to be interesting to see how he approaches that first round. Paul, thank you very much to you guys at home. And if you're in Abu Dhabi, by the way, the weigh-ins are later today. Get down to the Etihad Arena for the final face-offs as well. Still time to get your tickets to UFC 267 anywhere in the world. Jump on a plane. Get yourself over here.
It's easy.
We haven't had live audiences outside the US for the longest time, so we're expecting to see you there.
Plenty of people in there.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible.
Fun.
Yeah, we will be back again for another roundup just before the fights. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.